initially?
Yeah, it was called Sam's Boutiques in Ranelagh in Blackrock in Dublin. And I opened it in 1998, and it was a very successful business actually, because, well, one, I suppose the tiger hadn't quite started roaring, but he certainly was opening his mouth, and so I was a middle to high end boutique in Dublin, and my whole persona became the reason why Sands was so successful, in that I was a very good buyer and I gave a very personal service, and you know that represented in that the business did very well. And then the tiger, as I said, was roaring. We were doing very fine figures, and then I bought my property, which was in Ranelagh, and there were 2 shops and 4 apartments and a little development plot, and of course the recession kicked in, and the liberal spend was gone, and actually I couldn't pay the mortgage on the building, and that is actually what happened. But so I really didn't know actually that I was going to close down. I had built a very nice brand. It was called Sands. I'm Sandra, and I didn't actually realise the potency of my brand. I didn't really realise that it was a brand that I could have sold. And when the business started to decline, I closed one shop. Blackrock kept Ranelagh for an extra while, for about 13 months more, and then we had to make a decision, because I genuinely couldn't afford the upkeep, and I couldn't buy the clothes I wanted to buy. My client base was decimated, the liberal spend was gone, and a lot of my clients went back to work, so there was no room for what the Sands offer was. I'm a nurse actually by my profession, yeah. So I trained in St Vincent's Hospital in Ellen Park, and I also trained as a theatre nurse in St James's Hospital, and I grew up in Tipperary town in a fur business. My parents had my mother ran the fur shop, and my father owned a factory called Irish Lamb Furs, and that's where I sold my first fur coat at the age of 13 to Richard Burton. So yeah, that was all in that. So I've always had business in my background. My mother trained in Brown Thomas, so we'd have a huge affiliation with Brown Thomas. So at the time when I brought Canopi out, they were one of my first customers, and it was fantastic to get that. So I would have always known about business, known about trading about business, but you know, business, as you know, is a learning curve, and you encounter your own obstacles and your own things that you wouldn't even have thought of. Yeah. I think that there was market change. There was a huge market change, and I suppose because I had bought the building, it put me under huge pressure with the mortgage on the building. Okay, if I hadn't bought the building, and I had a fantastic relationship with my landlord previous to it, like we got on really well, would I have been still in business? I don't actually think I would have. I think I probably would have muddled on for another year or so, but I think I would have actually completely sullied the waters. Would have more than likely have gone out of business anyway, and everything would have been decimated, including me personally. Yeah. Very upset. I was very upset. I opened it the day of my son's 4th birthday, and like most people would be making a birthday cake, I was opening a shop, and then I lost it in September 2012, so it was open for nearly 15 years, and I was very sad. I was very sad. Now, as I said on Dragon's Den, I have a very sunny disposition, and I like to look upon what is it I can do, but to be honest, I found it very difficult to find what is it I can do for myself. My persona is that I'm usually cheerful. Nobody really realised what was going on inside. I was actually heartbroken. One, I didn't want to feel a failure, and I hate that word, but unfortunately I adopted that word, and it became ingrained in me, and I didn't ever go for psychiatric help, but I did go and talk to a few people. Very much on my own, and I am 51, and I actually had fallen between 2 stools with the computer age. So when I was a nurse in Vincent's, computers were just coming in. I went to work with a pharmaceutical company, and then I opened Sam's. I never had to have a computer, and my thing, which is not right, I felt that too many people in businesses were spending more time on technology than the client. So I actually didn't even have a till. So therefore I was completely ill-equipped when I came out then at the other side of having closed a business, I didn't even know how to do a business plan. You know, it was extraordinary. And at the time, the banks were giving money. So, sure, how much did you want? You know? And I took it. And I'm paying it all back now. I was very lucky. I was able to pay all my suppliers, and that is one of the hugest things that I would say in business. I can and always will be able to hold my head up high. I left nobody unpaid, and it would be a massive thing for me. I had absolutely no money. I mean, absolutely no money. I saved a tiny bit, and I used that for patent application and for branding. Well, there was a fear. Yeah, there was fear. And, you know, there was always that fear. The first time I set up, I just thought it would be wonderful if I sold the clothes. And I did, you see, because it was successful from day one. I sold from day one in my first shop. And then, so...
Probably confidence as you do.
It was confidence, yeah. And then again, it was, you know, was I afraid of going out there again and be seen? Oh, my God, you know, will people support me again? Had I rubbed anyone up the wrong way? Of course I had. Of course I had, you know. I mean, I'm not going to be friends with everyone. But I'll tell you what I was very lucky is I am a generous person. And I was very generous in business. I paid everybody. And I also, if I didn't have something, I never had a problem sending somebody elsewhere. And to me, when you have that generosity in business, it comes back to you 20-fold. I couldn't get funding. I couldn't get anything. Now, equally, against myself, I was no good at form filling. I was not good at asking for help until only last year. Well, I'll tell you, while I was trying to stay in business, I designed Canopi, the secret sleeves. Now I have them on me here, and they literally are a set of sleeves that clip onto your bra straps, because my top is sleeveless today, and I couldn't sell a sleeveless dress in my shop. So the bracket that my label was, my sans was in, was that the dress was about 150 to 250, but the jacket that went with it was from 150 to 300, and my lady just wouldn't buy it. And there was nothing on the market that you could put on under a sleeveless dress, that you'd still look lovely, that you'd be armed with confidence, and that didn't cost a fortune. Now, I went about Britain getting a prototype made. I had a fantastic girl working with me at the time, and we made the first prototype. And then I was at a charity lunch one day, and I met this lovely girl, and anyway, I said to her, you know, what I was doing. She said, oh, I have a friend who might be able to help you. And that's actually how then Lucas came into it. And then I got a distributor in Ireland, and then we went from strength to strength. But the model that I adopted in my business was, which on the advice actually of Enterprise Ireland and a very nice company called BLG and their accountants, is the licensing model, okay? And so the business model I had was that I licensed my product to a distributor, and he wholesaled it to the retailer. I also developed CanopiSleeves.com, which is my website, and so that was where I made my margin, because I made only a 10% license fee on the other margin, but it gave me buying power, and it gave me, in my case, a 3-year lead-in to proof of concept, proof of sales, and Canopi is the product champion. People buy from people. And when I was going on the Dragon's Den, which I did myself, and again encouraged by my husband, who's also a businessman, I did the whole process myself now, which was a huge turnaround for me, because I described earlier being technophobic or inefficient in technology, and I did the whole application process myself, and except I have a business partner now who helped me with the financials of it. And so when I was doing it, I went for Gavin. He's who I wanted. Now, I equally didn't have any choice. The other 4 didn't invest in me, but I got who I wanted. But when I was trying to identify, and no more than anybody trying to identify seed capital, venture capital, anything, to me it's all about the relationship. It's all about, will you be able to work with the person? Will the person be able to work with you? We know the product is good, we know that the market is there, but am I the vehicle that can bring it out there? And that's the question. Second time, entrepreneurs have to ask themselves, why did I fail? Number one, well, I didn't actually. It it was the downturn that crashed me down. But why did I make the decision in the first place to invest? Because everybody was doing it, and it was a good investment at the time. So what have I invested in now? Myself, my product, and Gavin has now invested in both of that, which is me and the product. I'm doing a lot of things differently, and one of the biggest things that I'm doing differently is that I'm taking my time about making decisions about something. Even though your gut is the one that tells you what to do, I now let my gut settle, and I like to get the second little surge of the positivity. That's the first thing that I'm doing. I'm listening an awful lot more to what people are looking for, responding to the need, as opposed to it always being just what I liked or wanted to do. And I'm absolutely managing overhead. Very stringently managing overhead. But again, what I've learned through this, I can only again deal with who I get good service from, who I'm very comfortable with. So for instance, I'm changing my courier, my transporting courier, because I'm not happy with who I use. I don't like their level of service, and I feel I can't give the level of service I want to my client, and she's all important to me. So those kind of decisions, I'm being careful about where I spend my money. I'm negotiating, but I've no interest in getting down to the bone with somebody. I feel along the way, one, you have to be very discerning about who you're dealing with. Two, everybody has to make a living. Three, you have to have serious confidence in what you're doing, and I have serious confidence in what I'm doing. And four, acknowledging that you can't have business everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, that has been a huge catalyst for me, because I thought, oh my God, every woman in the world will want Canopi. So if you'd asked me on my projections year one, I'd have said, I'll have sold 1 million pieces. Well, I sold 25,000 the first year. It was very significant, but it wasn't 1 million. So again, getting reality into where it can go. And I got my first funding last November. I got the online voucher for my new website. And of course I have a magnificent website. And I thank this fantastic guy called David Connolly in Leo, the local enterprise office in Dublin City. He was terrific, because his answer was, what is it I can do for you, Sandra?